say, in reality, you will be able to go out and in a matter of a week or 2 weeks, you'll be able to build the tooling that's necessary to go into to doing some of this type of line boring, and you'll be able to do some very, very fine work. And you'll be pretty well you pretty well know what you're doing. You pretty well be an expert on line boring just because you've been cognizant of the videos. It's just as if you were there doing the work yourself. Very much so. There's a word I want to mention here, and that's to do not be intimidated. The word intimidated is found 2 or 3 times in the book, and it says, do not be intimidated. Almost anything is possible. And I really believe that to be very true. As you move ahead in this industry and business, you're going to get a phone call from someone that's going to say, come out, I have this job, an industrial job. I want you to repair this bore. You go out and look at it, and it's a 13-inch diameter bore. It's 4 inches deep, and it's flat on the bottom. In other words, there's no hole through the bottom. You can't put a boring bar through it. What are you going to say? You're going to say, oh, I can't do something like that. My goodness, how can I do that? Well, don't say something like that. Sit down, take a sheet of paper, draw everything out, all the dimensions, the depths, where the indications are going to be at for positioning. Find out his due date. In other words, when he has to have it done. When would it be available for you to start to work on it? Get all this detail, of course, his name and phone number and all this information, and then tell him that you get back with him. Go back to the office, sit down, pull out the blueprints, pull out the book, look up the subject of in boring, how to build in boring machines, and it's an entire set of blueprints in this set that will tell you exactly how to build one. And this machine, similar to building larger boring bars, this machine can be expanded to be able to build a end boring machine, as an example, that has a spindle housing that is 8 or 10 inches in diameter. Imagine that. An 8 or 10-inch diameter spindle housing, and the shaft or the spindle that will turn inside those bearings inside of that housing, that shaft will be like 4 inches in diameter. Well, can you imagine the kind of work that you could do with the end boring machine that's got a 4-inch inside or a shaft diameter as it comes out of at the end of the machine? You could buy a 13-inch diameter, it'd be nothing. You could bore an end bore, 24-inch, 30-inch diameter. You could do snap ring grooves and O-ring grooves machined with a machine like that. And in the discussion here, it deals with different kind of tooling, different kind of arrangements. As an example, it talks about, in the book, talks about a boring and facing head. I have one. I've had it for a number of years. It's fantastic. The one I have is made in France. It's an excellent machine. They're not inexpensive, but they're not too expensive. I mean, after all, a job that would call for a very difficult type of machining is worth more than just general line boring. So anyway, it's something serious to think about. Another aspect of this is to, when you're doing line boring or end boring, you want to advertise the tooling that you're building for the job. Advertise it right into the price. Of course, once you get your tooling up and everything is going, then like myself, I've probably got several tons of tooling, machines, tooling, all kinds of fixtures, etc. I've built over the years, and I have all of that to be able to use on other work, and I use it all the time. So advertise the tooling. Don't be intimidated by the work. Go back, sit down, analyze it all, determine how if you want to make the investment in building a in-boring machine. You can also use an automotive-type boring machine, a Van Norman. That is, in fact, an in-boring machine. All automotive-type boring machines are in-boring machines. And in the blueprints, it calls out different kinds of tooling that you can make for the spindle nose of the Van Norman boring bar. And with that tooling, you can attach all kinds of little boring heads and boring systems. In fact, you can actually bore down to that. You can actually bore a hole down to 3/8 of an inch diameter, pulling 1,000 tolerance and bore it like 2 inches, not two, but say an inch deep. And well, why would you ever want to do something like that? You'd say, why would I ever want to bore a 3/4 or a 3/8 of an inch diameter bore? Well, you never know what the customer wants. The customer has a machine, it's very valuable, and he wants to have you do some work on it. My goodness, that's what we're in business for, is to be able to repair machinery, and of course do brand new machinery and repair and boring brand new jobs also. I might mention very briefly a job I did, a company I dealt with for many years in Napa Valley. That's a very large company. In fact, it was Kaiser Steel many years ago during World War II and shortly thereafter. And they made pipes, gas pipes, and they were very large. They were like 32, 38 inches in inside diameter, 42 feet long. Well, I did a lot of work for them over many years, but the reason I'm mentioning this is that a company on the same site that they were, a different company, they were building cranes. These cranes were cranes used in building ships for the ocean, and they would move on a railroad tracks, and they had articulated wheel systems that would roll the whole system, and it didn't have to roll straight. It could turn and turn around and turn all around different positions. Well, all of these parts was made in a huge building, setting right next to this river, a very large river. They had barges in the river, and they would build this massive machinery and ship it all over the world, all over the world. And so inside of this shop right next to the river, they had huge machines in there to manufacture the parts. Yeah, they probably had 50 welders in there working and building all of this equipment. And in the middle of it all, they had a very large boring mill. The boring mill was probably close to the size of a house. And they use it for boring, as you're watching right now. This bores probably around I think it's a 5 3/4 inch diameter bore in the videos you're watching. They were boring bores this size and larger, possibly up to 10 inches sizes, etc., which is no problem for line boring, for portable heavy equipment line boring. In fact, with the program and information contained in the blueprints and in the book in this package, you could very easily build machinery that could go into that particular shop where they're building this massive brand new equipment and set it up and line bore those bores, very precision, just as precision as that boring mill can do it, and at much less money, and save the company a lot of downtime, a lot of moving, instead of having to move massive pieces of machinery to a boring mill by cranes and by huge forklifts, etc., and setting it up and putting the boring bar in and lining it all up in this huge boring mill. You could do it with line boring just as easy and much better, actually. So this whole video system, this blueprints and book is designed to help people to go into the line boring business, all kinds of line boring business. Well, I'm an old man, of course. I've been around a long time. Before moving here in Willis, California, Northern California, just above San Francisco, I was in the aircraft business in Southern California. We had 40 employees. We did very precision work down to tolerances of 2/10 or 200 million sizes. And I brought all that technology up with me, all that know-how, and I applied it into the line boring business in Northern California. I want to tell you something very honestly. I don't know everything at all. None of us do. We're all a product of creation, and we try to help each other, try to help our neighbors and others to have a better understanding of things. And of course, line boring has been my business. I really hope you have success in this business. It's a good business. It's not easy. It's hard work, but it pays very well. And once you get a reputation in it, people will bring you work, and you'll be able to help a lot of people and to make a very good living at it. So I hope you have success, and I hope that this video will teach you the line boring business as I have learned it over the many years. Thank you very much. Thank you.